Hey everybody, I'm Rhea.
And I'm Brandon.
And you're watching
More Love with R&B.
And today we're going to talk about another 5 things that we think you should talk about before you get married.
That's right. So, I'll let you start this time.
Okay, so one of the first things that we think you should talk about is health. And this is your history with health, past things, if you ever had surgeries, if you ever had any conditions that could affect your present or your future. It's something that you should talk about. Also, anything that you currently have, asthma or any medicines you're taking, it's important that you talk to your spouse. You would hate for something crazy to happen out of the blue and your spouse have no idea what's happening. That is extremely scary. So please make sure that any and every health topic you can think of, that you talk to your spouse or your soon-to-be spouse before you get married.
Absolutely. Number 2 is intimacy. Okay, so let me lead in for this one. Okay. So, intimacy. You want to talk about your past. You want to talk about what you like, what you don't like. It's very important that two people who plan to be married talk about what they have in mind when it comes to intimacy. Some people are more vibrant than others. Some people are more conservative than others. And you want to know what you're dealing with before you get into marriage. It's very important that you talk about that. Also, for some people who have issues with intimacy or have addictions of all different kinds, any kind of perversions, if you will call them, you're bringing that into the marriage. And so it's very important that you talk to your spouse about what your expectations are as far as intimacy is concerned.
Absolutely. And the next thing that we think that you guys should talk about is your family, whether it be your in-laws or just your siblings, whatever. It's important to talk about your relationship with your family, your history with your family, and how you want them to be involved in your relationship, in your marriage. Or there are a lot of people who have really bad relationships with their family.
Strained relationships.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And it's important to talk about that and what you want moving forward in your relationship as far as their involvement. Right. It's very important. There are some times where a spouse may say, you know what, I want to have a close relationship with my in-laws. And they may say, well, you know what, I'm not close with my family, so that might be weird or difficult. Right. It's important that you talk about all those things and settle them kind of as much as you can before you get married or come to some kind of common ground.
All right, the next thing we're going to talk about, and that's the 4th thing we're going to talk about, because I'm keeping track, is spiritual and political beliefs. So it's very important that when two people come together, if you're going to get married, ideally you should believe the same thing. The reality is that, you know, in a world full of everybody who's totally different, people believe in a whole bunch of different things. You might meet somebody, you fall in love with them, and they believe something different than you. Before you get married, you need to talk that out, because that will affect your marriage. How you perceive the world through your spiritual lens will affect how you see the world and how you navigate the world. And if that differs from your spouse, it's going to affect it in not a pretty way, probably. And so then just tie that in with political beliefs. Some people have strong political beliefs. Some people have no political beliefs. And then to marry the two, to have someone who's very much into politics marry someone who's not, then, you know, that could cause a lot of friction and, you know, all kinds of stuff. So talk about those things. These are philosophical things that come up for just about everybody, and it's good that you discuss those with your spouse or your soon-to-be spouse before you get married.
Absolutely. And to just tie it all up in a nice, neat bow, I think the last thing that you should talk about is your expectations. Yes. This is very general, but it's extremely important. You should talk about your expectations for yourself and your expectations for your spouse.
Yes.
About everything. What do you expect your spouse to do? What are you expecting you to do when you get married and moving forward? And make sure that you guys are on the same page, because if you're expecting your wife to do one thing, like be a stay-at-home wife and mom, while she's wanting to be a career woman, and you don't talk about that before you get married, that can cause a lot of friction.
Static.
Absolutely. What are your expectations about raising kids? What are your expectations with money? Who's gonna do what in the home? Who's gonna wake up in the middle of the night and feed the kids? Like, all of these things, you should kind of have a general understanding about the other person's expectations of you and your expectations of them before you get married. Yes. And we're not saying that everything is going to be solved overnight, that you're going to completely agree on everything, but there should be a general understanding before you get married.
Absolutely. It's very important that you see what kind of communication you and your future spouse have before you get married, because how you talk about these things will show you what your communication could and probably will be like once you get married.
Absolutely.
If you guys yell and scream and fight over spiritual and political beliefs now, then that's probably what you're gonna do when you get married. But if that's your thing, then roll with it. But this is not something to deter people from getting married. This is get the information so that you know what you're dealing with going into your marriage.
So thank you for tuning in. We hope that you enjoyed this kind of second part.
Is it tuning in if it's the internet?
I don't know, but we're glad that you're here.
Yes.
And we hope that you liked it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
So if you like it,
make sure you subscribe.
And hit that thumbs up.
Yeah. Make sure you like it and share.
Yes, please share the video. We'd like this to get as far out there as it can be so that we can have more dialogue with more of you guys. Yeah. And let us know if there's anything else you want us to talk about, and as it pertains to things that people should talk about before they get married.
Yeah, if there's anything else that you guys think people should talk about before they get married, make sure you put it in the comments below. These are just a very small amount of the things that we think are important. There's so much more, and again, these are just our opinions.
That's right. It's not law here.
It's not. So yeah, please leave your comments. We will be answering as many as we can.
Absolutely.
So thanks for watching. We hope to see you soon.
Yep.
Bye guys.